What's up? What's up? Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the Hangout. This is a live stream that I do just about every Thursday night, about 7 p.m. Eastern time, where we talk about comics and anything comic related that comes to mind. Tonight, I've got a pretty fun show. We're gonna talk about what I got excited about after reading all my free comic book day books. We're gonna talk about an unfortunate epiphany I had about Hal Jordan. And we're going to talk about some comic reviews, some news. We do a lot of stuff. So that's going to be fun. But first off, if you're here watching this on the replay, I appreciate it. Like I said, we do this every Thursday about 7 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully you can catch us live. And if you are watching us live, go ahead and say what's up in the chat so that I can see who's here. Like my man Bunkmaster B says the thumbnail is missing Ranger Academy in the free comic book day books. I was actually a couple of seconds late to the stream because I was reading the Ranger Academy book. And I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, I I skimmed it and I'm not quite done yet. So I have to like give it an actual read a little bit later on. Gives me big Star Wars vibes though. Like just reminds me of the beginning of Star Wars. So interesting stuff. But yeah, Bunkmaster B's here. Tim's here. Says, "Hey, what's good, everybody?" Not much, man. How are you, Tim? Hopefully, you're doing well. So while everybody's still coming in, I'm gonna go ahead and do our shout outs like we always do about this time. So first, got to give a huge shout out to the channel family who makes videos, who make who make videos on this channel possible. Thank you guys for donating your time, your enthusiasm, and a couple of your dollars to make content on this channel happen every single month. And you can tell who's in the channel family by the badges that they have next to their names in the live chat. So hopefully, see somebody, you say what's up, and it's a good time. And then I also got to give a big shout out to Organic Priced Books, our channel sponsor, the best place to go online for collected editions. Great, easy to browse website, great discounts, the best packaging and customer service in the game. So if you're looking for trade paperbacks, omnibus editions, all that type of stuff, go to organicpricebooks.com or just use the link in the description down below. If you use my coupon code at checkout, save yourself some money. You will also be helping to support the channel and helping us make dope content. So thanks again to Organic Price Books for being the channel sponsor. And with all of the shout outs out of the way, we can have a good time, man. What are you guys reading here lately? How's your week going? Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, I have not picked up my pull list just yet this week. So what I've read Green Lantern issue number 1. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But I'm still kind of basking in the goodness that is free comic book day. I've read all the books that I was really excited about. Like I read Conan, I read the Spider-Man and Venom, I read Dawn of DC, the Night Terrors book, read a bunch of stuff. And it's got me excited for the direction that comics will be going in for the next few months or so. But I'm curious to know what you guys have read as of late. What series are you catching up on? What hardcovers or collected editions? What are you reading? What stories have you read lately? How's it going? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and check on some news. Let's see what's going on in the news as of late. There is one shout out I want to give here in just a second. So I got to log in so I can do that. All right, here we are. Here we are. So screen sharing is always difficult with just one screen, but here we go. So I wanted to give a big shout out to my homies over at Fourth Wall Comics. They have a Kickstarter going for Harlem and the Black Rose. And it's actually a double feature. So Harlem's Renaissance is one of the books, and the other book is called The Ballad of the Black Rose. So Harlem's Renaissance is okay. I'll just read this. I'm reading them backwards, right? So The Ballad of the Black Rose is a family western with a sci-fi twist, and Harlem, conversely, is a supernatural superhero thriller. So two very different books from each other. Both, if I'm not mistaken, written. Well, no, one's written by my man Morgan Iverson, who wrote Lumberjacks. The other is written by my guy Danny J. Quick. And I'm gonna press and I'm gonna mute it. I just want you guys to see some of the artwork. But the last time I showed off a Kickstarter campaign, YouTube claimed the audio. Oh, all right. Well, guess I can't really do that. So I'll just show you guys the artwork here. So this is a page from Harlem's Renaissance. And this is a page from The Ballad of the Black Rose. Ballad of the Black Rose is drawn by my man Kyron Silva, who has been a guest on the Hangout before. Harlem's Renaissance is drawn by Wally McNair. And like I said, two very distinct looks and feels, two very distinct styles of books. And I'm really excited about it. Really excited about it. So very, very cool stuff. And there's a bunch of different variants. You can see we got Harlem covers. Very cool. Very cool. But anyway, I just wanted to shout out this project by my homies. It's only like a week into the campaign. Yeah, 23 days to go. So we're only 1 week in. They're well over 80% of the way to their goal. So that's exciting. Super exciting. And let's see. Tim is here. He says, I read some free comics, have planned 2 small comic conventions to attend for the weekend. Word. That's what's up. Tayshawn dropped that package off earlier today. No, super late. Yo, I appreciate it, dog. I appreciate it. Tayshawn is helping to keep content on the channel alive. My tripod broke, which is why most of my recent videos have been at this desk setup. Which I don't know. I like the way I sound from this microphone, but I like being able to have different backgrounds that are a little bit more comic focused. So, but mostly I like being able to do my overviews. I've been testing out, I don't know if I can bring this into the frame. I've been testing out using like this phone mount or desk phone mount thing to try to do some top down footage. And like it works okay. The problem with trying to do a book overview is with these big omnibus editions, it shakes the desk. And so the camera shakes and it just looks, in my opinion, unprofessional. So my man Tayshawn is sending over a tripod so we can get back to the omnibus overviews. I really appreciate it, dog. I really do. But yeah, so I wanted to shout out the Harlem and the Black Rose double feature Kickstarter. Just to be clear, if you back this book, you are getting 2 separate brand new #1 issues. And so I will put the link in the description of this video. I'll do a community post a little bit later to talk or so that you guys can get to it. I'm looking here just to see if there's any other comic book news that would be cool to talk about. And honestly, there's not a lot. I think where the news will come in is really as we get into our next segment. Oh, that is amazing. Doug, that's amazing. I appreciate it, dude. I really do. Sorry. I have a rule. If my wife texts me, I have to answer. But that also means if my phone vibrates at all, I have to look at it, even if it's not my wife, just to make sure it's not my wife. So anyway. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get to the first segment of the day, which I like to call the review of the week, because it takes me into the first thing I really wanted to talk about. So if you guys saw my community post earlier this week, yesterday, I did a quick synopsis, well, not really a synopsis, but a quick uh, one read review of Green Lantern issue number one. Green Lantern issue one. It's written by Jeremy Adams with art by Hermonico. There is also a backup feature that's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. I can't remember who's on art on the PKJ. I guess I can look it up. One second. So Green Lantern number one, the backup story. Oh, I have to like actually go to that page. Of course, Kindle, of course. I don't like that Kindle doesn't have like an easy page thing. Like go to this page, little grid. Almost there. All right. Backup is by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And art in the backup is Montos. Anyway, Green Lantern issue number one was a pretty good issue. Basically, the United Planets, after they took over for the Guardians of Oa, decided to basically ban all the Earth Green Lanterns from the core, the Green Lantern Corps, or reassign them elsewhere. They didn't ban them, excuse me. So all the people, John Stewart, Sojourner Mullen, all the Earth-based Green Lanterns are somewhere else in the galaxy, defending from all the threats and whatever. Hal Jordan's like, how dare you, like, try to act like my home world is the scum of the galaxy. I was going to say scum of the earth. And so in protest, he has decided to leave the Corps, or at least abandon his assignment. And so he's on Earth. He's back in Coast City, and he's back to being Hal Jordan. So we see him trying to reconnect with his old flame, Carol Ferris. We see him trying to fly a plane that, of course, Carol owns. He's looking for a job, so he's trying to show off his pilot skills and his typical sort of cocksure attitude gets him into some trouble. Meanwhile, we see a flashback sequence from about a month earlier, from when he first decided to revolt against the United Planets and the authority in charge, and come down to Earth with no power ring and so on. And so, on one hand, we're getting like classic Hal Jordan, you know, going through typical Hal Jordan stuff. Like, this very much reminded me of the Ryan Reynolds movie. My wife loves that movie, so I've seen it like a million times. So it reminded me a lot of that. The Hal Jordan you get here reminds me of the Hal Jordan you get there. This is probably the time where I should point out that Jeremy Adams does have experience writing Green Lantern from the Green Lantern animated series, the one that I've never watched because the animation, the CG animation, just bothers me. I tried watching it yesterday because people love it, and Bruce Timm's involved and it's in the DCAU. I just couldn't get past the look of it. I don't like the look of it. So yeah, I didn't watch it. But anyway, I feel like Jeremy Adams pretty much, he I didn't see anything that seemed like not Hal Jordan. Now I gotta say, I've never been a big Hal Jordan fan. Like, I've never actively disliked Hal Jordan, maybe until yesterday. Um, I've just kind of been indifferent to the Green Lantern saga of books. I enjoy John Stewart. John Stewart's my favorite, mostly for reasons that are not comic related, right? The most obvious reason is that John Stewart was the Green Lantern in all the DC cartoons that I grew up watching. Justice League Unlimited, to be specific, right? And then when I got into comics, I started looking into the origin of John Stewart, ran across some audio of Neil Adams explaining all the behind the scenes drama that led to John Stewart's creation. And I was like, you know what? I love this story. I rock with John Stewart. And so that's kind of always been my preference. I do just like his character a little bit better. Um, I like that he's a family man. I like that uh he's an architect. He's been in the military. Like, he's just He's the type of person that you would want to be a space cop, if that's what we're calling the Green Lanterns. So, yeah, I rock with John Stewart. All that to say, I'm again sort of indifferent toward Hal Jordan, and I've not read much Green Lantern because, as someone put it in my comments yesterday, it feels like if you want to read Green Lantern, DC forces you to read Hal Jordan, like no matter what. Um, and so anyway, this book was good. I guess I want to talk about this book. Um, it was a very basic first issue. It's like, hey, here's Hal Jordan. He's a fighter pilot. He's really cocky. It gets him into some trouble. He's making unwanted advances at his old flame. It's Hal Jordan. And then on the other side, in this flashback sequence, hey, here's a great challenge for Hal Jordan. He's got some soul searching to do. He's got an existential crisis going on, and he's going to have to get over that and grow some courage and save the day, right? Those are sort of the two sides of the coin in the main story of Green Lantern issue 1. I thought it was well executed. Like, it felt very much like watching a cartoon. And a lot of that is helped by the art. As a matter of fact, I am going to upload an image real quick so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Because I took this screenshot and I posted it on Twitter. As a matter of fact, I'm going to upload a few images. I posted these images on my Twitter, or one of them anyway, just to show as an example of how good this art is. So the art by Ermanico. This is one page, the sort of existential crisis I was telling you about, and before he has to run and solve a problem in Coast City. This looks like it could be taken straight from an animated series. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the colors, the simplicity of the shading. I like a lot. So shout out to the colorist whose name I forgot, but I did shout him out on Twitter. So you can watch that. So yeah, that's some of the art. Here's the last page. I don't worry, I edited the little spoiler out of the bottom of the last page. And then here's a panel from the middle of the book. So you can see, like I said, like there's a lot of like this looks and feels like an animated series or an episode of an animated series, especially those flying sequences, like looking at the little heads up display on Hal's helmet. Very, very cool stuff. But like I said, if you have seen the beginning of the Ryan Reynolds movie, this issue is probably going to remind you a lot of that. Nice little introduction and so on. And then here we go. Lance DeLeon says, or DeLeon says, Hal Jordan feels like he's not grown from the past runs. Fighter pilot, check. Carol Ferris love interest, check. Give me John Stewart or even Guy Gardner. John Stewart and Guy Gardner appear in the backup story, so if that's what you want, that's there for you as well. Honestly, I don't really have any complaints about the issue. It's a well-constructed book. All the voices seem fine. The dialogue seems good. And I'll say it like this. I trust Jeremy Adams to give me an entertaining book that will eventually give me like the feels as well. He did it with his Wally West Flash run that's about to end in 2 months or 2 weeks, I should say. He's done it with I watched the Battle of the Super Sons movie. Jeremy Adams was one of the writers on that. Jeremy Adams has been doing great stuff at DC. I'm excited to see him get another superhero title to work with. I thought this issue was really well done. My problem with this issue was not with this issue. And this is where the unfortunate epiphany came in, right? So, so awesome. Hal has done amazing feats. Word. What's up, Kevin? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. So, reading this issue, again, with the caveat that I've not really read a bunch of Hal Jordan stories. I read Green Lantern Rebirth. It was the first retro review I ever did on this channel. So you can go back and watch that if you want to see me in my mother's house filming a video with an iPhone. But I read it because everybody's like, oh, you gotta read Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. It's going to I don't know, make you love Hal Jordan. And when I read Green Lantern Rebirth, what I found was that I didn't care about Hal Jordan, but it was made painfully clear, that everyone in the DC universe considers Hal Jordan to be the greatest lantern to ever wield a power ring. And if you're a DC fan, you just got to respect that as far as Green Lanterns go, they will all repeat that Hal is the greatest among us. And reading this book, when I read this book, it reminded me, and I wrote this on my community post yesterday, it reminded me of the movie Top Gun. Now, I didn't grow up with Top Gun. Like, I know Top Gun is a thing because at Carowinds, there's a Top Gun roller coaster, and I rode that one time. But I didn't watch the movie as a kid. I saw the movie for the first time just a couple months ago because Top Gun Maverick came out on streaming. And I was like, all right, let me see what the hype's about. Let me watch the first one first. And Top Gun is this movie about Tom Cruise being a fighter pilot and being super cocky and obnoxious and trying to prove that he's the best fighter pilot while fighting eventually for something greater than himself and his own motivations. But what serves him, even as he has to like be humbled or whatever, is his entitled attitude. And it's like, I get that the arc of the character is he's a jerk, but eventually he'll be a hero with jerk-like tendencies, but a hero. And it's a really fun movie. And that's what this book reminds me of. And it's not so much that this book is bad. The book is entertaining. I think if you're a Hal Jordan fan, you're going to like this book. I think if you're not a Hal Jordan fan, you just like action in comics, you're going to like this book. But my problem with it is I feel, just based on this characterization, Hal Jordan's a flawed character. Like, Hal Jordan is not the guy that I'd want to root for. Like, I feel like Hal Jordan shouldn't be a jerk. One thing that I find telling about this book is this sequence right here, where Hal looks distraught, looks like he's doing some deep soul searching and deciding, all right, it's time for me to go be a hero. This takes place a month before this. And so, in the words of Huey Freeman, he didn't learn a lesson, right? It just feels like Hal Jordan is a spoiled, entitled man-child, not worthy of being looked at as the greatest among us. And to be fair, I'm judging this off of 20 pages of one issue in the book. But based on what everybody else was saying about it, other reviewers were saying about the book, the characterization is spot on. And so the problem isn't the writing. The problem is that the character is the character. And for me personally, I don't care to root for him. I like, I like Kilowog. I like John Stewart. I like Jessica Cruz. I like a lot of lanterns and a lot of lantern lore that I've read in the last couple of years. But I don't need Hal Jordan to be a Green Lantern. Lance says, "You mean the dude who went insane and almost destroyed the DCU? That Hal Jordan? Is that still in continuity? Yeah, he's so great." I mean, that was sort of retconned in Green Lantern Rebirth, which yes, isn't I know he was possessed. So yeah, I guess that's still in continuity. Yeah, I think that's a thing that everybody still acknowledges happened because the new 52 did not redo anything Jeff Johns. Um, but yeah. Does Neil Adams have a Green Lantern, Green Arrow Omni? If so, I'll probably jump on it. There is a Green Lantern, Green Arrow Hard Traveling Heroes Deluxe Edition. If you can find it, I believe it's still on Amazon. It's out of print, but it doesn't resell for much over cover if it resells at all. There's also an absolute Green Lantern, Green Arrow. If you want to get that, I'd rather have the deluxe because I just don't need that many absolutes in my collection. But it's out there. As a matter of fact, it might even be on my Amazon storefront that I never update or promote. Bunk says, between New Frontier and Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, I'm good on Hal's stories. Why do we keep going back to this guy when there are so many better lanterns? Yeah, so my criticism of Hal is my criticism of Tom Cruise's character. Is it Maverick? Is his name Maverick in Top Gun? It's just, I don't have patience for spoiled, entitled men. Like, as a man, I'm just like, dog, grow up, handle your responsibilities, stop bucking up against authority, like, fall in line, do what you're supposed to do. Like, and I think the flaw is that what we call willpower, to me, reads as entitlement, self-centeredness, privilege. That's how it comes across to me. And it's just like, that guy, that's the greatest among us. I mean, like, look at it. This is not to pile on, but look at his face right now. Like, it just looks so smug. And that's Hal Jordan. Like, oh yeah, you ever seen a construct? Here you go. Yeah, it's me. And it's like, dog, get over yourself. And you would think being a part of a core like would help you to value the contributions of others. And to be fair, in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run in Rebirth, there is a moment where Hal is just like, I can't, is it Hal? Someone is explaining like the differences between all the lanterns and how they do their constructs and why things work the way they do. And to be fair, Jeff Johns does a great job of explaining all the side characters in Green Lantern and why they're great. It just, Hal Jordan just does not come off as a likable character to me. And for that reason, I think my mileage is going to vary on this book. I enjoyed issue 1. I wouldn't say loved it. I enjoyed it a lot, though. The art was amazing. The story was good enough. Like, it's an introduction, basically, to Hal Jordan. But I feel like I could take or leave this character. Conversely, though, the backup story featuring John Stewart, and I could be biased because John Stewart's my favorite Lantern, but it's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who is just also somebody at DC that's just putting on a masterclass. Now, this one felt like it was picking up on some things that were first mentioned in the Dark Crisis Worlds Without a Justice League uh, Green Lantern issue. That's a lot of words for one title. But John Stewart's back on his family farm, helping out his grandmother, helping out his little sister. And then there's flashbacks to a scene in another universe at another time where basically an evil villain is out trying to find John Stewart and pay him back for something that he did in the past. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. and I'm very curious to see what happens in that. And that backup is a prelude. I think it's a 3-part backup story, and then we're going to actually get a Jon Stewart led series written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And Philip Kennedy Johnson has already proven that he can do good work with like otherworldly, intergalactic. Hey, here we are on another planet dealing with a threat, but let me still relate this to all the values we have back home with a moral center of a character like Superman. He did it in War World, and um he's already setting up Jon Stewart to be a better moral center. Do I need every character to be a moral center? No. My favorite character is Batman. But you know, I Jon Stewart just it's easier to root for Jon Stewart than it is to root for Hal Jordan. And when I read that book yesterday and I got to this page and I realized, oh, Hal Jordan is Tom Cruise. I'm never going to like Hal Jordan. That's what's going to happen with this. This guy is just not going to be for me. If this is who the guy is, it's just not it's not gonna work for me. And that's fine because everybody's got their favorite characters and you don't have to like everything or everyone. Um, but what I enjoy about Green Lantern Corps is the fact that they are a core. So I'm looking forward to the omnibus by Peter Tomasi later on this year. Um, I plan to read some of it at least digitally before I pre-order that book. Um, Speaking of, Rider Battle says the Green Lantern Corps book by Tomasi was better than the main HAL stuff. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Lance DeLeon says, back in the early aughts, Jeff Johns loved the Silver Age icon, so he brought back Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. I could care less about these guys. Kyle Rayner and Wally West are my dudes. I really enjoy Wally West. And yeah, I've read plenty of Kyle Rayner too. I read the Emerald, is it Emerald Twilight? The series where Hal Jordan just breaks crazy and becomes the Parallax. That's the series that also introduces us to Kyle Rayner, or that story arc introduces us to Kyle Rayner. I read Justice League Tower of Babel. Kyle Rayner is the Green Lantern. Then, to be fair, there's a lot of Green Lantern history with Kyle Rayner as the Green Lantern. But I just enjoy that as it's explained, Kyle Rayner like draws his constructs. He like sketches them in his mind. He's an artist. And I'm like, that's cool. I used to like draw pictures as a kid. I like that. But yeah, Hal is just Hal seems like the type of guy that never learned a lesson. And I don't have patience for people that don't learn lessons, is the best way to put that. Suntrack says, man, I'm on your Discord and I got to thank you because I just started on comics about 2 months ago. It's all thanks to you. Now my son, my wife, and me are all into comics, all thanks to you. Wow. That is really cool. That is really cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're enjoying comics. That's what this channel is all about. So that's what's up. It's great. I'll wait for the new GL comic, whether I like Hal Jordan or not. Always an Instigator says, I want to see more done with Joe. She was great in her Far Sector series. John was the Lantern for so many of us growing up. I didn't even know who Hal was until Blackest Night hit and made everyone look at Green Lantern. Word. Sonic Natu had a pretty good arc during the Green Lantern Corps run I mentioned. Jessica Cruz isn't too bad, but they could always use more female Green Lanterns. Yeah. I read Far Sector. That was basically my first time reading Green Lantern outside of Rebirth. I enjoy Sojourner Mullen. The most recent run by Jeff Thorne kind of puts Joe Mullen at the forefront. But honestly kind of features a lot of lanterns. Jessica Cruz gets a really cool story arc that it seems like they're not going to really do anything with, where she becomes a yellow lantern somehow. I liked it. That was really cool. The Teen Lantern, Kelly, the Teen Lantern had been a thing. So there's plenty of women in the Green Lantern mythos as well. Um, I I will say this, for as much as I enjoyed Jeff Thorne's Green Lantern run, this is going to be much, well, I should say, this first issue is a lot easier to digest. Because it's very much like, I don't want to call it a paint by numbers story, but it is a very much back to basics. Here's who Hal Jordan is type book. I think what Jeff Thorne did was very layered. There's a lot of meta commentary in the book. And it was meant to be like a much longer arc than it ended up being, much longer story than it ended up being. So there's a lot of seeds planted in that run that you don't necessarily get to see germinate, if you will. Um, unless you read like the epilogue and the Emerald Knights book and stuff. And even that, there were a lot of threads that that book could have branched off into and just didn't. So it sounds like we might get some follow up to some of the United Planets stuff that Jeff Thorne started. But all in all, I feel like that run got cut short, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, this is a Green Lantern book, and one that I'm gonna keep reading because I like Jeremy Adams and I enjoyed the book for what it was. But I don't know how long it'll stay on the list because I don't know how much Hal Jordan I can take if he doesn't grow up as a character. And that's the unfortunate epiphany I had about Hal Jordan. One wanted to say, oh yeah, she did turn to a Yellow Lantern. Yeah, that happened. So yeah. How do you guys feel about Hal Jordan? Let me know. I mean, Green Lantern. Am I right? No, I'm joking. Um, Always like John Stewart and Kyle Rayner when it came to Earth Green Lanterns. Were yeah. So I that's how I came away feeling indifferent about Hal Jordan as I always have. Maybe even a little bit like antagonistic toward Hal Jordan, and that's just the way the cookie crumbled there. It's a shame that Brother Stewart is a backup story. That's really all I want. That's a fact. But again, the backup story is one of 3 backup feature or backup stories that we're going to get. So the next 3 issues of Green Lantern, next 3 months, are going to feature those Philip Kennedy Johnson backup stories featuring John Stewart. And those 3 all serve into as a prelude to a brand new John Stewart series coming later this year. I'm very curious to see how that John Stewart series sort of picks up the pieces or picks up threads, what it takes from the Jeff Thorne run. Like, do we ignore it? Did it happen? Did it not? That's what I'm curious about. Like, how does Philip Kennedy Johnson handle that? I think what appears to be happening is that Hal Jordan, or excuse me, John Stewart, even as he's like this ridiculous godlike being in the DC universe that they've made him to be, chooses to be human and value human interests. Kind of like Superman, but not quite like Superman. Like, I think that's an interesting character dynamic. And I wish Hal Jordan or any character, honestly, who's going to be a superhero has to wrestle with good and where good and their personality clash. Bunk says, thing that was great about John's Green Lantern run that was so great was the amazing big plots, not so much Hal's character himself. Word. That's unfortunate. What I do think we'll see is more political elements brought back in with PKJ. He's a sergeant in the army and plays brass in the band. He's not shy about his feelings on things like PTSD and policy. Look, man, I That's fine with me. Whatever personal experience you have that can sort of that you can highlight through art and make and tell an interesting story through or about or through the lens of, I'm down for it. I enjoy seeing the world through other people's perspectives. Um, Sometimes, I'll see something and it's like, yeah, that's not for me. Other times I feel like I learn about a person, or even about the world or about myself by looking at other perspectives of things. So I'm cool with politics being in Green Lantern. Um, I'm cool with it all, especially with something like a sci-fi book. For me, I don't do a lot of sci-fi. I don't do a lot of big cosmic stuff unless I can see a through line that relates it back to Earth in some way. Like for me, I enjoy Star Wars, but Star Wars to me is a book about religion. It's like a religious soap opera, and it's about redemption, and it's about um, you know, people who do bad things being redeemed and doing good things. Like that's what Star Wars is about to me. That whole speech that Yoda gives to Luke Skywalker just perfectly distills everything that I kind of believe about life. Um, and so I can rock with the 19 hours of Star Wars films because of that central theme that I relate back to my personal, faith and all that. And so it works. And so if you're gonna do some big space story and show me this alien species that hates this alien species, like I kind of need to be able to say, oh, this is an analog for that in order to care about the story. So works for me. But yeah, I didn't expect that we would spend 40 minutes on Hal Jordan, but hey, it's my show. We do what we want to do, right? So that was the review of the week. And but tonight, what we're talking about right alongside that are the other books that I read. So last weekend was Free Comic Book Day. I actually did a recap on the channel that came out Monday. And honestly, it feels like it came out 3 weeks ago. That's how slow this week has been to me. But Free Comic Book Day was awesome. I enjoyed myself. Uh, saw a lot of kids enjoying comics, which is always cool. I helped my shop set up because they weren't quite set up in time. So that was cool. Oh, Tris, you missed the problem with Hal Jordan. You have to come back and watch. But hey, so good to see you, man. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. I'm glad. Oh, by the way, Tristan, I saw your channel got remonetized. So congratulations to you. I saw that happen to a couple other people. Apparently, like people that are doing a lot of shorts with so-called reused content are having their monetization struck down. They got to wait like months to appeal it and all that. But anyway, good on you. Good for you. I'm glad. Congrats. That's the word I wanted to say. Congrats. So, all that said, uh, Green Lantern #1 was good. I don't care about Hal Jordan. Other stuff that I read was all promotional comics, all free comic book day stuff. And based on what I've read and what I enjoyed, I can tell you what I'm excited about that's coming out later on this summer or later on this year. And so let's go ahead and start with the one that's like not superhero related. So I read the free comic book day issue of Conan the Barbarian from Titan Comics. Marvel lost the license. Titan Comics has the license to Conan now. And they're going to be doing a new Conan book starting in July of 2023. They actually just put this free comic book day issue out online. I retweeted it from the Comics Are Dope account, so you can find the PDF of this issue. Whoops. Of this issue if you're looking for it. Um, but this is basically my dog's going crazy, which means there's probably a package at the door. But so this one is written by Written by Jim Zub, art by Rob Delator, who's also doing art, fill-in art on Daredevil sometimes, if I'm not mistaken. Colors by Jose Villarubia, and letters by Richard Starkings. Um, but this is what it looks like. And it's just a straight up introduction to who Conan is. Conan is a barbarian. He gets off on killing people, slaying people, and he decides to go on an adventure, because just slaying the people in his hometown just wasn't enough. And so he's about to embark on a great killing adventure. And that's going to start off in Conan the Barbarian, issue 1, which will be out in July of 2023. And I'm cool with it. Like, it's just, I've never really read a Conan book. I remember the Conan cartoon when I was a kid. And I mostly remember the end credits of the Conan cartoon because it seemed like every time I got dressed for school, I was never quite done in time to watch Conan. Um, but I mean, it's just a dude killing people with swords and an axe and stuff. So I'm down with it. The only thing about Conan is that Conan is definitely going to be like bloody. So you may not let your kid read it. But like I said, I enjoy this free comic book day issue, and this is going to be a fun. I want to keep holding this up. It's going to be a fun book to read when you want to take a break, or when I want to take a break from, like, all the interconnectedness of superhero stories. So that'll be cool. So Kix being a fan of Conan was not something I had on my bingo card. Word. I've never been a Conan fan, but I enjoyed this book, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The next thing that we'll go ahead and get this one out of the way, because it was the free comic book day book that I was just like, meh. And it was Night Terrors, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Chris Bachalo, or Bachalo. I don't know. How are we saying it? How do you say it? Potato. And if that's the facts, then that's probably what's going to happen. First Conan sex scene kicks on. Oh, that's what this dude's about, and noping on out. That's true. I don't do sex in comics, so if Conan's sex in comics, then that's probably going to be a nope for me. But hey, it is what it is. So Night Terrors. Basically, this is a preview of the event that we're going to get later on in the year. By the way, this is available on DC Universe Infinite, so I don't even have to do the weird, like, hold the book up. I could just share my screen. So let me do that real quick. All right, it's taking forever. I don't know what's going on. I think I got too many tabs open. Something stupid, so I won't share my screen actually. But yeah. So Night Terrors. Robin basically opens up the book. It feels like he's having a nightmare, and he's like, this is just a nightmare. This isn't real. And then the more he explores, the more he realizes, oh, this nightmare is real, or something is happening that's not normal. This isn't a normal nightmare. And it's just an opportunity for Chris Bachalo to draw like the weird, like actiony panels with a lot of like not necessarily gruesome, but unnerving, unsettling imagery. It's a horror book. And I mean, I get it, because horror books are like all the way in style right now. Something's Killing the Children, Department of Truth, Nice House on the Lake. Yes, all of those are James Tynion books. But horror is in. People are loving horror comics. And so Joshua Williamson's got a chance to put a horror skin on top of the DC universe, and he's going to do it. because horror comics aren't my thing, I'm not crazy excited about it. Just on like, even if horror comics weren't my thing or were my thing, to me, this feels a little bit too close, too soon to the whole dark multiverse that I thought we were finally done with at the end of Death Metal. So, all in all, I'm just kind of like, eh, I don't need this. But the art looks cool. The art looks, like all the things people love horror comics for. So I think it'll do fine. I'm not buying 46 issues. I'm probably going to buy the Batman book and the Detective Comics book. And there's probably a couple of others in the Night Terrors event that I'll probably check out just because I like the characters. Like Shazam might get a purchase. The Flash might get a purchase. Mm, maybe Green Lantern. So there are books that, like, basically, if I'm reading their current titles, I might buy the Night Terrors version of it for those 2 months. But I don't feel particularly pressed like I need those in my life. So that's that part. Like, this is Wonder Woman. That's Wonder Woman. That's Red Hood. So yeah, I'm just kind of like, you take it or leave Night Terrors. I'm probably gonna leave most of it. 100 says I only read horror from Rodney Barnes. I enjoyed Philadelphia until I didn't. Um, I mean, but to be fair, I reluctantly dropped Philadelphia. I bought every issue up until issue 18, 19. Yeah, I bought whatever the first 3 volumes would be in single issues. Got midway through and realized, oh, this is going to explore some themes that I'm not really comfortable reading in comics. And so I dropped the title, but the story was great, and I hear it's still going strong. Issue 30 just came out a couple weeks ago and had an interesting twist at the end that people were really excited about. So Josh Williamson had his own horror series with Nailbiter, where horror comics are something I haven't really explored too much. I did buy the first volume hardcover of Something's Killing the Children. I've read Grendel, Kentucky. Like, I can do like sort of monster books or like slasher books. I just don't do like demon possession and stuff and super like crazy supernatural stuff. I don't really deal with that a lot. And that seems to be the horror that most people lean into as of late. The Conjuring, exorcisms, and whatnot. I'm like, I'm good on that. So Dawn of DC Night Terrors wasn't all that exciting to me, but if you're into horror, it's probably going to be a must grab for you to see horror versions of the DC universe. The next one that had me really excited was the Uncanny Avengers, written by Jerry Duggan. Art, who's on the art? Where's my Uncanny Avengers? Oh, I didn't grab it. I didn't put it in the physical stack, which means it's somewhere in that stack behind me. I'm gonna leave it alone. But so in all right, let's back up. So in Jonathan Hickman's X-Men, human or the mutants can resurrect. That's the big secret. That secret seems to come out at the Hellfire Gala or around the Hellfire Gala time period when, mutants form their own planet. It gets crazy. And that spins off into Jerry Duggan's X-Men, where the secret of resurrection is seemingly revealed to the world. When that secret is revealed, Cyclops happens to die in a very public way. And to try to counteract that and just say, okay, yeah, the mutants aren't resurrecting, they invent this other identity, Captain Krakoa. So Captain Krakoa is the dude right there in the helmet. And that Cyclops, just in a different, costume, doing his hero thing so that humans don't suspect him of resurrecting. In the Uncanny Avengers book, and as a matter of fact, let me go back to my library because I believe so. Marvel is taking away the Marvel Comics app, and so now if you want to read different books, you got to do it in Marvel Unlimited. But as far as I know, you can't read Marvel Unlimited online. You have to do it from the app, which is dumb. You already have an active membership. Yep. Just take me back to Marvel Unlimited. Start reading. Trying to see if I can. I'm already signed in. Trying to see if I can get into the free comic book day stuff so I can show you guys on screen. Load more. Can I search for it? All right, forget it, because I forgot what I was even going to say. But in the free comic book day book, basically we follow up on that whole there's somebody who knows the mutants can resurrect. He's not happy about it. He's fighting Cyclops, and you're like, wait, what? And so eventually this team is going to come together with Rogue and Quicksilver and Deadpool, and this one with the spikes that I can never remember her name, and Psylocke and Captain America. And I'm excited about it. I feel like it follows up on threads from Jerry Duggan's X-Men that I honestly forgot about, because Jerry Duggan's X-Men is not being treated like a main pillar of the X-Men world, which is crazy because it's literally the title called X-Men, like it should be the main title. But between Immortal X-Men and X-Men Red and all the events and stuff, Jerry Duggan stuff is just kind of sitting there on the back burner, it feels, until now. All of a sudden, it's being brought to the forefront, and the art looks cool. The story's picking up on, like I said, one of my favorite threads from Jerry Duggan's X-Men, which was, the did they or did they not like find out about resurrection, humankind, and what are they going to do with it? And now that secret is out based on some stuff Kieran Gillen did during the Judgment Day event. And so I'm excited to see like more fallout from it. We're still picking up on things with Orcus and all that. Now, how that all factors into like the whole Fall of X stuff going on later this year, no idea. But I'm gonna enjoy it. Bunkmaster B says Uncanny Avengers is a weird way to pronounce Ranger Academy. I did read Ranger Academy. It's probably not for me. It's doing this thing like establishing the Power Rangers is like, I don't know the best way to say this, right? Like, to me, Ranger Academy is like establishing the order of the Power Rangers, almost like Jedi Knights. And this kid who wants to be one now, that she gets exposed to one, a Ranger Cadet, if that's what we're calling them. And yeah, I don't know. The free comic book day issue didn't necessarily sell me, but we'll see, like 1 to 2 issues in, how this is going. It's just, I don't know. Feels like a spinoff for the sake of spinoffs. And I don't know. It does the same things wrong that I feel like all the Strange Academy or Teen Titans Academy or whatever books kind of do, where it's just like, do we need like a kid version of this? Like, I feel like the only time it really worked is a pup named Scooby-Doo. And that's because it was the same kid, it's just young. I don't know. Bunk says, honestly, wasn't really sold on Ranger Academy. Seems like it'll be something fun to read with my daughter in a few years. Nothing I'm trying to check out on my own. Yeah, that's the vibe I got from it. Like, I'm sorry. I legit just put this in my mouth because I didn't have any water around. But if you're like vaguely familiar with the Power Rangers, or like you said, like if Bunkmaster B, who is Bunkmaster B, he's a Power Rangers fan. He's got a kid who doesn't really care about Power Rangers necessarily, but they like books with children as leads. You know, it works. I think it works as a book, like kind of grounded in that mythos, but not reliant on that story at all. Like, I didn't see any way where this connected to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or anything like that. So your mileage will vary. This book is absolutely going to depend on the personalities of these kids to draw you in. And even when it does draw you in, how's it going to keep you? Tim is more into Umbrella Academy than Ranger Academy. Circumstances popped up for the pup named Scooby-Doo reference. Yo, I love Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Pup Named Scooby-Doo and Flintstone Kids. Those are two examples of like cartoons that had no business being as great as they were. I don't think either of those are available to stream anywhere. That's a shame. But yeah, Ranger Academy. I'd probably give a C. A C. All right, what else did I read? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles free comic book day issue. I'm not even gonna hold you. This is a reprint of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures #1 and some unnamed Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book. This is absolutely the book that you get for your kid to introduce them to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in comic form if they've already seen them on TV. That's legit what this book is for. It's got nothing to do with the Armageddon game. It's got nothing to do with The Last Ronin. It's got nothing to do with the main Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles title that they so lovingly advertised in the back of it. This is a book that you give your kid because your kid likes Ninja Turtles on TV. I didn't read this one. We Are Legends. I'm going to read it later because I'm very much interested in both The Vigil and City Boy, but haven't read those. And then my man Kicks acting like, oh my gosh, you're right. I loved Tiny Toons. I feel like that's, well, I guess no, that's not different from Strange Academy or Teen Titans Academy or Ranger Academy. It's literally Acme Luniversity. All right, Tiny Toons pass. It was Red Herring. I love that his name is literally Red Herring, and they always fall for the Red Herring. Or Freddy always falls for the Red Herring. And that's just great. But yeah, so the last book that I read that kind of surprised me with how much it drew me in, Free Comic Book Day, Spider-Man, and Venom. Now, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I didn't even read the Venom portion of this book. I didn't care particularly. I skimmed it just because like I felt like I should, but I didn't care about the Venom part of this book. What I did care about though, these couple of pages here, where are we at? I mean, this story is fine. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's written by Zeb Wells, but the art is Patrick Gleason. And look at Patrick Gleason's Kraven the Hunter. And look at Patrick Gleason's Doc Ock. So, yeah, I don't know in what world or why Kraven the Hunter is working for Doc Ock, but I'm here for it. Just looks super cool to me. And suddenly, I'm not burned up about Peter Parker and Mary Jane never getting back together and Mary Jane getting married and having kids and all the other nonsense going on in the Spider-Man title right now, I am like, hey, cool, let's get out of this story arc so we can get into Peter or Patrick Gleason drawing Spider-Man. And so just like that, they wrote me back in. I'm a sucker. I am a sucker. I just want Spider-Man to look cool. And he does. He does in this free comic book day issue. So there's that. But also, I skipped the Venom section because I just didn't care about Venom. But then we get this little preview right here of the Jonathan Hickman, Brian Hitch Ultimate Invasion family. This is looking great. If you're a Miles fan, if you're a Marvel fan, if you're an Ultimate Universe fan, you got to do it. You got to do it. So, yeah. Is there a letters page in the free comic book day issue? Huh. I didn't even realize that. And I did not read it either. It's just it's a letter from the editor, is what it is. Nick Lowe writing about all the Spider-Man stuff available, which makes sense. But yeah, this got me excited for the Ultimate Invasion and for whatever that next story arc in Amazing Spider-Man is going to be. Kevin, Kevin, you're playing with me. It looks really good, but it's no JR. Lance says, I just want Peter Parker to be happy. I guess I'm the only one. Yeah, man. Yeah, I want Peter Parker to be happy. I mean, I am fine with Peter Parker going through adversity. It's kind of like a hallmark of his character, like, the Parker luck. Something's always going wrong for Peter Parker. But go through the adversity. Don't wallow in the adversity. And this, like, I almost made a reference to Black Panther being pummeled by Captain America. It kind of feels like the same thing's happening to Peter Parker. Like, they're just beating up on Peter. Hey, you know what, Peter? Just when you thought you were going to get back with Mary Jane, how about not? And how about she's not going to leave her husband for you, even though you did nothing wrong? And how about she's got kids? Just to rub it in. It's like, dog, like, at some point, like, does he not deserve to be happy? Like, he's got the great power. He's being responsible with it. He's saving the world. Can he not just, like, have a normal love life? Like, come on, fam. And yeah, there you go, Lance. Adversity, yes. Misery, no. Yeah. And I guess they feel like if Peter Parker gets to be with Mary Jane, then all of a sudden it's just happily ever after and the book is boring. But there are still so many stories you can tell. Like, I mean, you don't got to be like the tropey, like, damsel in distress Mary Jane every episode or every issue, but there are stories you can tell where it's just as challenging and Peter gets to go home and talk to his wife about it. No, Lance, you're not the only one. Peter needs to get his well-deserved ending with MJ and Mayday or whatever children they decide to have. Facts. Fourth wall, my man Danny says, happy Peter Parker is boring. That's not true. That's not true. Free Comic Book Day was fun. Word. You went to Acme. How was Acme? I was at Ultimate, and I talked about how it went in my recap. So go watch the recap. But yeah, Free Comic Book Day, Spider-Man, Venom. I still don't care about Venom. I don't care about any symbiotes. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I should, but I don't. The one thing I will say is I feel like I have to go back and read the Carnage Reigns Alpha because it's clear that Miles Morales is all the way tied into Carnage Reigns. And so I enjoyed the first story arc. I guess I could just skip the second story arc, like until the Carnage Reigns event is over, but probably not going to. You know, this artwork in this Venom book looks good. That's one thing I can say. The Spider-Man office has got some great artists working in it. Even John Romita Jr. is like objectively great at storytelling. I'm just not super. It's just not my taste personally. But this looks good. It doesn't look good enough to make me want to read Venom, but I mean, look at this Venom in the Iron Man looking suit. That's cool. Tim says, I haven't read Spider-Man Venom yet. It's next on my reading pile. And Lance is so hyped for Spider-Verse 2. Yo, one person in the world who I feel like agrees with my take on Green Lantern, HAL Jordan, is in the chat. It says, no, you don't have to care about Venom. I don't. Ask Bard if Peter Parker will ever be happy. Yeah, I did a video about Google Bard AI and using it to get comic recommendations. That was fun. And yeah, so that's pretty much all I've read from Free Comic Book Day so far. Spider-Man Venom. I'm excited to see Patrick Gleason drawing Spider-Man. I'm excited for Ultimate Invasion. So that's a win. I don't care about Venom. TMNT, this was just for the kids. Ranger Academy, also just for your kids. Conan, looks cool. Fun slashing book. Dawn of DC, Night Terrors. If you're a horror fan, you'll like this. If not, probably not. I wrote this in my newsletter that came out. When did I put the newsletter out? Monday, Tuesday? Again, this week is going by incredibly slow to me. But in the newsletter, I stated that I feel like Marvel's got like an event or a corner for everyone. Like there's something there for you. If you're like, no matter what kind of comics you read, there's something there for you. But DC is really banking heavy on this whole Night Terrors thing, which to me seems odd because the Dawn of DC is doing so well. Like every issue 1 has been a banger to me. And the only one that I feel like isn't a banger is not even because the comic's bad. It's because I don't care about HAL Jordan. Like, it's just cool. So the fact that DC is like, all right, now let's take a break from all those great, varied, nuanced stories you've been getting, and let's do all horror, an all horror takeover for 2 months. Just seems like a weird move to me. Anthony Rogers says, do you think it would be dope to get the Ultimate Universe back as its own imprint? Honestly, I think so. It'd be cool. I wasn't like a child of the Ultimate Universe. I never really read the Ultimate Universe, right? But I feel like the way it seems to have gone is like you were either following the regular Marvel stuff or you were following the Ultimate Marvel stuff. And the type of reader I am, I kind of read a little bit of everything, right? And so I don't want to have to follow this separate interconnected universe and the mainline interconnected universe at the same time. And I mean, to be fair, I'm not doing that now. The only Marvel I even have on my pull list is Spider-Man and X-Men. So I'm kind of indifferent to it, honestly. But if it's nice, if it's good storytelling, like, sure, like, do it. But who's going to be the editorial team? Like, who's over the Ultimate Universe? Because if it's the same people that are over the regular Marvel Universe, like, what's the difference really? I don't know. Derek Caven says hello. What's up, Derek? Hope you're doing well. So yeah, all in all, I'm excited about the Ultimate Invasion. Is that what it's called? Ultimate Invasion? Not excited about Night Terrors. I'm excited about Conan, of all things. And yeah, just to recap, I had the epiphany that I'm not gonna care about Hal Jordan. So Winterman says Ultimate Marvel is more like the MCU, not exact but closer. Okay, so then yeah, if that's the case, like I feel like I would probably be like an either or type of person at that point. Um, Charles, when are you gonna open up your? I'm never opening a comic book store. Listen, man, like I love being in the comic shop. I'm never selling comic books. I thought about so when I first started the website, comicsaredope.com, I thought about like making it an online retail shop. And that way it's like, all right, like I can sell comics. Maybe I'll probably just sell collected editions. Maybe that's a little bit easier. I don't know. Um, and so that you can come for comic book commentary and you can buy comics. And the whole reason I was gonna do it is because like I wanted to like be able to commission exclusive variants and stuff. Dog, you know how many books you gotta order to get an exclusive cover? It's like 1,000 books. Who's buying 1,000 books from me? Nobody's buying 1,000 books from me. And they're probably not buying 500 books from me if I gotta mark them up to like $10, $15 because it's rare or whatever. But yeah, and then besides the fact that I don't want to hold inventory or anything like that, comic books come out every week. Every week, you got to stock new comics and move new comics, or not move new comics and move them new comics to your back issue bins. You could not pay me to run a comic book shop. I love the environment. I would possibly consider like a comic book lounge type thing, like some sort of hangout spot, maybe throw like some arcade games and almost like some like an event venue or something kind of uh like a small coffee shop vibe with some comics. But even that, nah, nah. I'm not here about not here to start any sort of retail operation. Mr. Negative, do you like the John Stewart tease? The Green Lantern, the backup story? I did. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it felt like it was loosely connected to the Dark Crisis Worlds Without a Green Lantern story that Philip Kennedy Johnson also wrote. What I would like to know is what the Winterman Project thinks about this newest Green Lantern issue, or uh, what could be coming up in the John Stewart book that's coming eventually this year. Um, that's probably a whole separate conversation to be had. But I I again, not to retread old ground, right? But what I like about it so far is that John Stewart is just like an infinitely greater human being, like than Hal Jordan appears to be. And I think Philip Kennedy Johnson, just based on what I've read from his Superman run or his Action Comics run over the last almost 3 years now, two, yeah, because my kid's two. So 2 years of Action Comics has shown that he can handle like all of the human things that make it great. That make John Stewart like it seems that John Stewart's humanity is put at the forefront, and whatever crazy wild adventures he takes him through, like John Stewart has a great moral center, and Philip Kennedy Johnson seems to have a great feel for that. I also like seeing family brought back into it. So John Stewart hanging out with his grandma or his mom or whoever it is, that's cool. That's cool. So my man Jeff says, I think no matter how good the writer is, Hal will always be cardboard. I'm very interested to see what PKJ does with John. So, all right, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna retread this conversation. So, my when I read Green Lantern issue 1 yesterday, it reminded me of Top Gun. And Hal Jordan is Tom Cruise, and the light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh, that's Hal Jordan. I'm just not gonna like Hal Jordan because I don't have the patience to watch this man grow up, like because he should have grown up by now, right? And I was like, okay, this makes all the sense in the world. Not my Green Lantern. Hashtag not my Green Lantern, right? And I was at peace with like never reading another Hal Jordan book again because I just didn't really care. I don't think Adams handles dialogue well, but his story structure is decent. Let's see. I really like the way Adams wrote Hal, but I do like him. I thought he wrote him just as good, if not better, than how Johns wrote him at first. And that's the thing. Like I said, everybody who I know that likes Hal Jordan has given this book praise and says that, hey, Jeremy Adams is doing a great, or got the characterization right. And I'm like, okay. So if by all accounts, this is an accurate portrayal of Hal Jordan, I'm just not going to like Hal Jordan because Hal Jordan just does not have enough of a moral center for me to root for in that position. Like, Hal Jordan feels like the epitome of privilege, and we're calling it willpower and not privilege. And that's weird to me. I do hope to see some Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz in the future. Jessica Cruz was on the cover. Wait, maybe that wasn't Jessica Cruz. Maybe that was Carol. Let's pull up the cover. Yeah, that was Carol. Oh wait, maybe not, because that's Kilowog and that's Sinestro. This makes I think that is Jessica. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I feel like if DC wanted to showcase the other lanterns, they would have kept the creative team that was already showcasing all the other lanterns. So I don't know. Like I said, Kyle Rayner and Guy Gardner both make appearances in the backup story. So even if we don't get a bunch of the core in Jeremy Adams' book, because in Jeremy Adams' book they make it clear that the rest of the Green Lantern Corps is off-world for the foreseeable future. Then maybe when Philip Kennedy Johnson does get his Green Lantern or his John Stewart book, they'll show up there. I feel the Rebirth take on Hal by Venditti was him actually matured, and this feels like a regression. He was able to forge his own ring from his own willpower and seemed deserving of his title then. If that's the case, then maybe I just need to read Robert Venditti's Green Lantern or Green Lantern Corps, whichever one it was. Because, like I said, this just felt like man-child Hal Jordan. This felt like Ryan Reynolds Hal Jordan. And I was just like, I'm good. So yeah. Those are my thoughts on this week's books twice. Because you asked for it. And that's pretty much all I got. So make sure there's no announcements I need to make before we head out of here. I'm probably not going to get to record a FOC video this week. So let's take some time and do that real quick. All right, I'm gonna head out. Peace out, everybody. Have a good night and read something dope. Facts. Thanks for joining, Tim. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna look really quickly at the books on final order cutoff this weekend coming up because my sister's graduating tomorrow and I'm not gonna have time to film a YouTube video. I like to save this for series debuts. And let's see, are there any new series debuts? Oh, the Detective Comics Omnibus by Peter Tomasi is on FOC this weekend. So that's cool. DC Pride Through the Years. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, cool. So it's collecting stories featuring LGBTQ characters from different time periods in the DC universe. That's cool. Flash 800 on FOC this weekend. This will be the last issue that Jeremy Adams writes on, and it's going to be ushering in the new creative team, Cy Spurrier and Mike Deodato Jr., with a bunch of other stuff in between. So that'll be cool. It looks like they've got like everybody who's written or drawn on the Flash in quite some time. Only name I don't see on here is Francis Manapul. So very nice little celebration of the Flash. Got a bunch of covers if you're into those. Icon of Rocket Season 1 is getting a trade paperback. If you didn't get the hardcover, wanted a little less expensive option. They keep putting out this cover. The Joker Uncovered is a one-shot. Is it a one-shot? Anyway, they literally put this cover out like back around Christmas. The Lazarus Planet hardcover. Yeah, I'm not seeing a ton of series debuts for DC on FOC this weekend. The Static Team Up one shot. This is the Nicholas Draper Ivy cover. So there's a Static and Anansi. If you watch the Static animated series, then you probably are familiar with Anansi from that episode where Static and his family go to Africa and meet a superhero. So this is a cover B by Natasha Bustos, who did the History of the Black Panthers variants or backup stories with Evan Narcisse. So that's cool. A little team up there. Evan Narcisse wrote this book, by the way. This is the 1 in 25 cover by Edwin Galman, who is a great cover artist. He's doing covers on Cyborg, which comes out next week. Steelworks, written by Michael Dorn, who was apparently the voice of Steel back in the day in Superman, is writing a Steel book. And he's a sci-fi icon, apparently. I'm not familiar, but that doesn't mean I'm not a big sci-fi fan, so I'm gonna wait for me to be familiar with it. So that's that. And then let's see what else is on FOC from Marvel and other people. Comic Binge is here. What's up? What website are you looking at this on? So for all the DC books, I'm looking at lunardistribution.com. Opinion on Saga. I checked out of Saga because I don't read books with like graphic depictions of sex. So anything interesting that I want to highlight here? In Hell We Fight. Sounds interesting. That's a cool cover for Spawn. Something Epic #1 is getting a second printing. That book came out this week. Haven't read it, but it looks cool. There's a Something Killing the Children pen and ink variant, issue #1. Interesting. Stunning black and white inks with artist commentary. That's cool. Okay. Ghost lore. What stories do the ghosts themselves tell us? Okay. All right, let's go to Marvel. Okay, the new Black Panther is on FOC this weekend. Written by Eve Ewing, art by Chris Allen. This cover by Torrin Clark is dope. I like it a lot. I'm excited to see somebody else take on Black Panther. Not even gonna lie. I was not a big fan of the John Ridley run. Not even that it was like terrible. It just I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me for the time that it came out in real life. So I feel like if I revisit it, let's say in a year, I might enjoy the story a whole lot better. But what I am interested in is seeing how Eve Ewing picks up on the thread with T'Challa basically being exiled from Wakanda, even though he's still clearly in Wakanda in this issue or in this series. I'm curious to see how T'Challa is as, say, the enemy of the state. Um, and honestly, man, I'm still scrolling through all of these FOC catalog. Not a ton that I'm super interested in. Can't even lie. So I think the big pick for me is going to be the Static and the Nancy team up for sure, and then Black Panther. Um, there seems to be a common thread between the two of those. I'm not quite sure what it is, but hey, those are the FOC books that I'm excited about. And let's see. Steelworks book is rad. Worf from Star Trek. I've never watched I've seen some Star Trek, I should say. The Next Generations. That's the one with Charles Xavier, right? I've seen a couple episodes, not a ton. Celtics up by 14. I'm very excited right now. Word. Oh, they're up 3-2, right? So if they win tonight, that's it. I was kind of hoping that I don't know, I was kind of hoping the Sixers run through that series. Wait, maybe it's the Sixers that are up 3-2. Now I gotta look up the playoffs. I'm really not following the Eastern Conference. I've been looking mostly to see what the Lakers are doing. So what's happening right now? Philadelphia is up 3-2. Got you. Yeah. I mean, hey, force a game 7. I like seeing game 7s, but I'd like to see Philly beat the Celtics. I don't even know why, honestly. I'm a LeBron James fan, not necessarily a Lakers fan, so I don't have like any deep-seated hatred toward the Celtics. But I don't know. Miss Negatives offer Jaylen Brown. Word. So that's the East semis. Who else is still alive in the East? Oh, the Heat. The Heat are about to beat the Knicks. Huh. I'd like to see Jimmy Butler play against the Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals. That'd be cool. I always like to see the Lakers lose. I get it. The Lakers better win tomorrow. If they don't win tomorrow, they're not going to win Sunday. Is how I feel. So, yeah, man. Hopefully they get it done in Game 6. Lance DeLeon says, Sacramento fan, we'll be back. Hashtag light the beam. Shout out my man Skip. And yeah, all right. This conversation is completely devolved. We are now talking about the NBA playoffs, which is a great sign that the Hangout should probably wind down. So I appreciate everybody watching, tuning into the stream, everybody who tuned into the chat. And, I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you can catch us next time. If you were watching this on the replay, hopefully you catch us live next time. We'll do this every Thursday, most Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And until next time, I'll see you guys in another video real soon. Until then, stay classy and make sure you're reading something dope today. Peace.